Hi, this is Steve Bontell with Insurasales. I'm here with W. Scott Peterson of the Symmetry Financial Group. We're here live at the SWAT conference here in beautiful Dallas, Texas, and it has so far been one of the best shows I've seen in my 28 years in the business. If you're new to the industry, this is a wonderful show to really get acclimated to understanding how you can be successful in the financial services arena. And I've got one of those successful stars here in W. Scott Peterson, and he's affectionately known as W. And W, you talked to me a little bit before about specializing in debt relief. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, I appreciate you having me on, Steve, and it's an honor to be sitting with you. You've been in this business a long time, and for me to be able to sit here with you is truly amazing. So just thank you for having me. One of the most amazing things that I have learned over the last few years is how to use different types of life insurance to help people get 100% out of debt without ruining their credit, without consolidation, without negotiation, but true debt elimination over time and letting people keep 20 to 40% of the money in their pocket tax-free.
So we're talking debt relief. We're talking people that build substantial amounts of debt, right? And they're trying to figure out how to get out of it. And there's actually financial vehicles that you can bring to clients that can help them do that. Explain that to some of our followers here, what that really is.
So, back in the day, like people like Walt Disney and Warren Buffett, they've used these types of programs to perpetuate their wealth. And over the last couple decades, these insurance companies have brought these policies into a place that the normal people can now use them for the same purposes. And so when you think of traditional whole life, we just think, well, I'm going to pay my payments until I die, and maybe I'll get to borrow a little bit against it. But what if we have an opportunity to not just put a little bit of cash, but how about overfunding this thing so that way you can use it almost like a Roth IRA without all of the IRS putting their hands in it?
When some people think of life insurance, sometimes they think it's just it's something that you need to get in case you die. And they think it's to cover burial expenses and cover college expenses and all that, which it is, right? And has wonderful purposes. But I don't think they fully understand what that really means to use it as a financial way to actually get out of debt and also open up a lot of opportunities. And you do that through this permanent life insurance, don't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's awesome because when you think of the flexibility of being your own bank, so to speak, that you can put all your money into this thing, the government can't really touch it, and when you pass away, someone's going to get a whole lot more money than what's in there. Unlike your 401k that's taxable, or your IRA or your Roth IRA, they're just going to get what's in there, right? Well, what if we were able to borrow against this thing over and over and over, and then it pays for your retirement, it pays for your funeral expenses, it pays for college, it pays for all of these things over time that your 401k can't do, that your term policy can't do, that your grandpa's whole life can't do.
That's right.
And so we have an opportunity to change the face of this $32 trillion in debt, that the government has. Just imagine if they had a really big policy, right?
Yeah, that would be great, right? Yeah. And they probably could, right? But
I don't know who's insurable up there.
Yeah, I think a few other problems. So when we think of life insurance, many years ago, I think it was probably back in the maybe early 2000s, I wrote an article for Broker World magazine, and in there I talked about life insurance is the only insurance required by love, right? Mm-hmm. If you truly, automobile insurance was required by law in most states, except for a couple, that homeowners insurance, was really required by the mortgage holder or the lien holder, right? But life insurance wasn't required by either one of that, but it was required by those people who really truly love somebody, right? Mm-hmm. And what's crazy is that life insurance has so many other ways that it can help people, not just when they're dying or for those who are left behind, but to actually use it now.
Correct.
And that's what's so wonderful about what you're doing. A lot of people don't realize that. They think life insurance is just in this one little niche. It's carved out just to help people when someone passes, which it does, but it does so much more than that. And that's why they have to talk to folks like you, W. people who specialize in that. So when you're dealing in an understanding of the power of life insurance, the power of insurance in general, you really need to talk to somebody that's been doing it a long time. What you shared with me a little bit ago was that you'd been in this industry for a long time. Give us an idea about your experience and what that does to help your clients on a day-to-day basis, and maybe why they should be looking for experienced folks like yourself when they're thinking about not only debt relief, but maybe retirement planning and other things like that.
Well, yeah, and that's, what's really awesome is that, I got my start helping teachers with retirement. And, teachers are the most underpaid and undervalued profession in this country. And, I view their profession more important than our police, fire, and military, because without the teachers, they'd have never made that. That's right. And so when you're working with teachers, trying to help them be the very best future that you can, you're working with very little because they don't make a lot. And so, I was in retail management for 20 years, and we were the #1 customer service store out of 260 out of the entire Midwest region. And you would think that customer service of that magnitude would keep your job. Well, within 2 months, I was laid off. And so, I prayed to God. I said, listen, I don't want inventory anymore. I don't want quotas. Lord, I just want to do something amazing and support my family by just helping people. And inside of 30 days, I had my insurance license, and it's been 16 years. And so the first 12, I was just helping teachers plan their retirement. And one of the most amazing things that I got to do was actually volunteer in 13 buildings a month, just being alongside of a teacher, because I believe that you shouldn't be able to ask for their business if you're not willing to do what they do. Yeah. And so every month, 13 buildings, I would sit and I would paint with kindergartners and read to 1st through 5th graders and be the judge at the spelling bee, you name it. I was very involved. And by accident, I found Symmetry Financial Group. And I found that this company was able to be a perfect marriage for me helping those teachers in a way that I never helped them before. Well, a year into being at Symmetry, they introduced this Your Family Bank, right? Like how to become your own bank and how to have infinite banking system. And what I found really quickly was getting people out of debt before retirement is a huge income increase in retirement. And when you look at how annuities pay out and how people will get a permanent income, just for an example, just $2,000 a month in debt. If I can get somebody out of $2,000 a month in debt by the time they retire, it's the equivalent to $480,000 of permanent income. And so when you have nothing to put away, but I can get rid of your debt, it's the same thing as having them save the money. And they still have a much better life because now they don't have to budget for the debt.
And the beauty of it all, too, is, heaven forbid, they were to pass away. They've still got the death benefit. They still have that life insurance that will still help their families and still take care and defray those costs. That's what the wonderful thing about life insurance, which is really what got me into this industry, like I said, over 27, 28 years ago, was I just felt like people didn't understand the power of life insurance and didn't really understand what it really is. Being in the life insurance industry and being in the insurance business, we're in the business of protection, but we're really in the business of taking care of families and treating them as if they were our own. And they take wonderful folks like UW that, like you said, you come from another industry and you want to make a difference. You find Symmetry. They've been a wonderful organization for you and for you to share that sort of that love that you have, not only for the business, but it's clear to me, other people in general. Like you want to help other people. And that's the one thing I don't think sometimes, when we think about life insurance or we think about an agent in insurance, I don't know necessarily if everybody looks at us as they actually really care about us and the families. Tell me a little bit about Symmetry and just the power of Symmetry and the wonderful things that they've been able to do for you and your family over the last several years.
Absolutely. And, and just to go back to something that you said real quick was, I've always looked at insurance itself as the one way that someone can say, I love you one last time, right? When they're gone and that family is getting that check, regardless of the size of that check, they thought enough to say, I love you one last time, right? And so a lot of agents, and I'm sure you've seen this, a lot of people look at this selfless thing that people do and try to internalize it into a selfish, I'm just here to make money.
Right.
And the problem with that is that you detract from what this person is really trying to accomplish, right? And so Symmetry gave me this culture that I had never seen before. That it wasn't just about, hey, I need to go sell stuff. I just need to go put up the numbers. But it was like, are you doing it because of you, or are you doing it because they need you?
Right.
Right? And the culture at Symmetry Financial Group was stunning. Like, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was like they're just putting up a front. But then you realize that every single call starts with gratitude, that every single person is so willing to give of themselves without anything in return. And you don't realize that there are still people in the world, in the business world, in the insurance world, that just want you to succeed.
Yes.
And so, over the last 5 years, I've got a team of 22 people that range from California to Massachusetts. And my sole purpose now is not just to help get people out of debt, but how do I help my agents be the very best version of themselves for their families and for the people they serve.
Yeah, that's great. It's when we think of careers and we think of opportunities, and boy, a lot of times people come in and they say, oh, get into this business, right? You can get rich quick, or you can really make a difference, and you can really have the lifestyle you want. And then when you kind of get in there, you realize it really wasn't what it was meant to be, right? Mm-hmm. Or there was just something that you philosophically had a problem with. But what I have found over the years, and what you're really making the point of and driving home to me, is that I'm really glad I got into this a long time ago. You know, I mean, sure, we could have stayed in retail, and we can sell things, and we're doing a good job for our companies. But the one great thing about being in our business is we get up every day and we get to help families, and we can't be fired. Really, I mean, think about it. We're out helping people every day, and really one of the big challenges every day is we'll sit down and talk to people, and they'll tell us, I'm not really happy where I'm at. And we always say, well, if you want to help other people, talk to W, talk to people at Symmetry, talk to people in the industry, man. Get close to insurance. It isn't just protection. It truly is about becoming a family friend, right?
It is.
And, I early in my career, when I was trying to learn the business, and I came up as an Allstate agent of all things before I moved into MetLife, and then my career took me to the home office of a lot of insurance companies. But in the process of that, I remember talking to one guy in particular, and I said, I really want to love my clients. I really want to care about their kids and their dogs and their moms and their dads. And this one guy looked at me and he said, you don't really want to get to know people. And I said, why not? He said, because you don't want to get into their problems. And I said, is there any other advice? Because at that point in time, I was kind of thinking this wasn't great advice. Yeah. And he said, if you ever see him in the grocery store, hide behind the frozen food section. And I said, wait a minute, I'm not going to hide from clients. And I said, you're not the mentor I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Speaking of mentor, we've heard a lot at the SWAT conference here in Dallas over the last few days, which has been an amazing conference. If you're a new agent thinking about getting into the business, I highly encourage you to come see W, come see Nate Offord and his people and all of the folks, wonderful folks that are putting this on here. The SWAT conference, the Top Gun SWAT conference here this year. And we talked about mentorship a lot over the last couple days. Help people understand when you come into this business, you're not coming in this thing by yourself.
No, not at all. And if it's okay, I want to tell a story to kind of lead into that. Yeah. So it's really the story of how I happened across Symmetry Financial Group. So right before Thanksgiving of 2016, my wife and I were getting ready for church, and she started like having real bad fatigue, and she was getting some tingling in her arm, and she's like, you just go, and I'm going to stay home. And so halfway through the service, her best friend texts me and says, hey, we're on our way to the hospital. I got her, just come here after church. So I get there, and about 1 a.m, they officially diagnosed her with MS. And so that started a 9-month journey of her being off work. She worked at the hospital. She had all of our health insurance, all of our life insurance. And, I'm in insurance, but I'm like, why do I have to pay for something when she's got it at work? Right. I don't know any better at that time, right? So after 9 months, they equalize her. She goes back to work. She's back to work a month. We refinance the house. And in our infinite wisdom, we went from a 30 to a 15 year. And about 6 months later, she starts missing a day a week. And then she misses 2 days a week. Then she missed a full week. Well, then they throw her back on disability. What we didn't know is that they pay attention to the FMLA dates. Well, she was a month away from FMLA kicking back in, and they said, hey, listen, if you don't come back by the end of the 6 months, your job's gone. Well, she looks at me and she says, there's no way I can go back. By the way, when we lose my insurance, if something happens to you, I'm screwed. So being in insurance, trying to be a good husband, what do? You go get insurance, right? Well, I take a Parkinson's medicine for my restless legs. I get denied by 4 different companies. And at this point, I'm panicking, right? Because she's getting more and more anxious. Did you take care of it? Did you take care of it? We're getting all these letters in the mail since we refinanced, and we've been pitching them. And finally, I open one up, and I'm like, maybe this is different. Maybe this is something I can get. Maybe it can be tacked onto the mortgage. At least give her something, right? So I filled out the form, folded it up, put it in the envelope, licked it, threw it in the blue box. A couple weeks later, a lady calls me. She says, hey, I got your letter. I'm going to come out and see what I can do. So I was very honest with her. I told her everything. She came out to the house, and she goes, hey, I did some research. I think I can get you approved standard rates. And I said, well, if you can get me approved standard rates, I want to do this business, because I couldn't even get myself approved. She's like, really? So she gets out her phone. She puts me on the phone with her mentor. So I'm in the middle of an insurance application and an interview at the same time. And we hit it off so well that she's done with the app. She's trying to leave. She's like, can you call in from your phone? Because I got to go, right? So about a month later, I get approved for the policy. And I got contracted with the company, with Symmetry Financial Group. And my mentor, he was like, so you ready to go to work and follow the system? And I was like, no. I go, I don't need your leads. He goes, oh, okay. I go, I got 400 clients. I mean, I can go do my own. He's like, well, let's see how it goes, right? And this was how amazing this gentleman is. So for 6 weeks, he was talking to me every day, but he was hands off. He wasn't pressuring me. He wasn't like telling me what I had to do. He just said, hey, I'm here for you. We're getting to know each other. He's guiding me on some of the things I'm trying to do. So in 6 weeks, I did 2 applications. Yay, 2 whole applications. Yeah, well. And finally, he's like, listen, man, I love you. We've got a great relationship. But if you don't follow the system, I can't help you anymore. Right? Like, I'm only here to help you get successful, and it doesn't sound like you want to be. So I got mad. Right? And I was like, fine, I'll do your stupid system. I'll show you it don't work. And I wrote $6,500 my first week and put $3,000 in my pocket. And I was like, oh. And so I was like, fine, I'm going to commit to another 4 weeks. We'll see how this thing goes. I said, but I think it was a fluke, right? Well, $25,000 and $12,000 in my pocket later. And this gentleman's name is William Berry. Right? And he has become not just my mentor, not just my business partner, but truly my best friend. That's and amazing. I would run through a flaming brick wall for him. And it all started with 6 weeks that I didn't deserve.
Right.
Right? And through the connection with him and his mentor, Marlon Faulkner, and his mentor, Nate Offert, and Brad and Matt Smith, I found a place that not only could I call home, but treated me better than home. You know what I mean? And in the 12 years prior, I had never got more mentorship than I did in that 6 weeks. And I literally felt like I was in an island for 12 years. Right? Like, you ever go to a new company and they paint this beautiful, like, I forget what's the painter's name?
Easel, like a painting.
Bobby,
Bob
Ross,
right?
right?
Bob Ross painting?
Right,
Okay.
like, so you got this beautiful picture, right? And they're like, they put you in the helicopter, and as they take you up, they're kind of giving you like this whittling knife, and then they give you a match, and they say, here, hold on to this parachute. All of a sudden, they just push you out, and they say, okay, see you later. And I never got that here. It was hands-on and hands-off at the same time, and it was all about the love of what I wanted to achieve. And I've been able to pass that on to the people that I've brought in. And now I'm in a place where I want everybody to come and be on this team, and let me just guide you to where you want to go. Let me put the tools in your hand and let you do the work to do the best for your family.
Well, you know, W, as I listen to you, it makes me smile because I think of the industry, and, you know, as you start getting a few gray hairs in your head and you kind of look at the new group, if you will, coming in, and there's always the ability to pay it forward, and you're always looking at it, and I see the mentality of it, and I realize there's so many good people like you in our business that I'm proud to be in it, you know. I'm proud to say that I'm in the life insurance arena, right? And we're providing assistance to families when they really need it most. And we're giving people opportunities at careers that they never really had before. I mean, and we don't always talk about it. It's not something that we put out on billboards down the street, and there's not commercials that say it every day. But in our business, if you work hard, you create your own hours, you create your own business, you're essentially an entrepreneur, you're a franchise owner without really having to pay anything to own that franchise.
Thank goodness.
You are that person,
Yep.
right? You're your own brand, you're your own system. We heard that today. We heard a lot of really cool, great things from some wonderful speakers here at SWAT 2023. But the one thing that sort of resonates with me and you, W, and your team, and Symmetry, and Nate, and the power here is just, there's just, when you join, you are in business for yourself, you know, but you're not by yourself. You have a true team of people that really care about you. And we talked a little bit today at one of the seminars about six-figure incomes and single moms in 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
That now they're making, you know, 7-figure incomes, and all they did was just care about people. They were like, this isn't that hard. I'm just going out and talking to people, getting on the phone, giving people the protection they need. Because look, we're all at some point, some of us are always going to be in debt at some point, right? But it isn't necessarily all of us need necessarily life insurance for that. But we all need to have a life insurance policy at some point, right? And we, just like if you truly love somebody, you want to get it, talk to W or his team. He's going to give you his number here in a minute, and maybe you can reach out to him and the wonderful folks at Symmetry. But if you're also looking for a career, not just a job. Someone told me one time, they said, you're looking for a job, and a guy yelled over my shoulder, do you know what JOB stands for? Just over broke. And I kind of laughed, but then I thought, that's kind of true. I'm just trying to figure out how to make my payments and my bills every single month. Wouldn't you like to have a career where you're building towards something, where you look back at the end of your working life and you say, I made a difference. I'm not hiding behind that frozen food section. You know, W's got a team, he's saying 22. Within the next year, it might be 122. And maybe within the next 5 years, it's 522 people. And think of those people that go out and introduce some of these young high school kids maybe that are going to watch this or see this, or maybe some of the college kids that are thinking, you know, I don't know if I want to do a salary job and have to go through that. Maybe I want to go in business for myself and be an entrepreneur. Well, what better career than life insurance? And you're a perfect example of a guy that said, I was in corporate America, I walked away all those many years ago, and now look at me. I'm happy, I'm loving my life, I have a wonderful family. This is what W sharing with you, ladies and gentlemen, is what our industry is and why I'm so thankful and honored to be in it. And I'm thankful that you take it so seriously that it is debt, it is retirement, it is savings, it is health care, and money care and death care and all those things, but you notice care is a part of that.
Yep.
And that's what you do, and that's what we do here. That's what you're going to hear. So if you're watching this, make sure you're part of SWAT 2024. Before we go, W, help everybody here understand how they can reach you if they really want to find out, understanding, like maybe it's a question about debt relief and they want to figure out how to do that, or they're thinking they're not really happy with their job. Maybe they're open to a suggestion of trying something else in their life. And or maybe it's just somebody that is in the industry that says, I've heard about Symmetry, but I don't really know about it. Look at the camera and tell everybody what they got to do and how they can reach you.
So the thing that I really want to leave you with is, and Steve, thank you so much for everything, and you've been amazing. This business is, a lot of people say we want an ROI. And ROI to most people is return on investment. I don't look at ROI as return on investment, I look at it as return on impact. And so an example of that impact is that I have, out of the 22 people that I have on the team, 10 of them have come from the table. People that are clients that have seen the value of what we do, that have come to and do this business. And so that's really caring for the client, right? Is how do I change their lives, not just with the insurance or getting them out of debt, but how do I change their lives in the course of their family? And so whether it's getting out of debt, whether it's annuities, whether it's IULs or children's policies or disability, it doesn't matter. However, you need help in those areas, or you want to come and learn how to help other people do those things, I would love for you to call me, 313-676-0333. My website is swp-financial.com, and there's plenty of ways to get a hold of me there. And I will just tell you that as long as you are willing to do what it takes to help people or to put in the work to get yourself protected, then I can help you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's W. Scott Peterson. This is SWAT 2023. This is why the industry is so great. If you're thinking about a changing of your job, looking for a career, or maybe you just need to look at your existing financial system and need help, W. Scott Peterson, just call him W. He's waiting for your call. I'm Steve Bontell from SWAT 2023. So long, everybody. Thanks, W.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Great job, man.